today I will present you my meta-analysis work on the effect of limestone particle size on performance, eggshell quality, bone mineralization, and in vitro and in vivo solubilization in laying hens. Before starting, I will quickly present myself. My name is Fabien Hervo, and I'm a PhD student in co-tutelle between Université Laval in Quebec with Marie-Pierre Letourneau-Montminy and the National Institute of Agronomic Research in Rennes in France with Agnès Narcy. I'm working on the optimization of the digestive utilization of calcium and phosphorus in laying hen, and I'm aiming to develop a mathematical predictive model of the calcium and phosphorus in laying hen. And today, I will present you my works on the effect of coarse limestone particle in laying hen. To produce its eggshell, the laying hen needs a high quantity of calcium. This calcium is mainly provided by the diet. But because the calcium deposition on the eggshell is not constant during the day, and because the main part of calcium deposition takes place during the night, as we can see in this graph, there is a gap between the dietary availability of calcium during the light period and the high calcium requirement to produce the eggshell during the night. So the laying hens need a second calcium source. This source is medullary bone. The medullary bone is a specific structure in birds, which is a transitory reserve of calcium to produce the eggshell. During the night, osteoclasts will resorb these bones and release the calcium to produce the eggshell. But osteoclasts also resorb the cortical bone. So with aging, we observe an increase in bone weakness, as we can see in this graph. This bone weakness is associated with a decrease of the intestine capacity to absorb the calcium. These two phenomena lead to a high breaking bone risk with aging in the layer flock. With aging, we also describe a decrease in the laying rate, as we can see in this graph, and a decrease in the eggshell quality. But nowadays, one of the new challenges of egg producers is an extension of the laying period from 80 to 100 weeks. Extended the laying period allows producers to reduce the egg cost and allow producers to increase the profitability and the sustainability of the production. But it represents a real challenge for the animal because there is a decrease in the capacity of the intestine to absorb the calcium, and there is also a bone weakness. In this context, coarse limestone particles appear to be a solution because, according to the literature, coarse limestone particles increase the bone quality and also increase eggshell quality. The aim of this meta-analysis was to explain how coarse limestone works and to quantify the effect of coarse limestone particles on the production, the eggshell quality, and the bone mineralization. Finally, these quantifications help us to develop mathematical equations to create a mathematical model of the fate of the calcium and phosphorus in the digestive tract of the laying hen. To conduct this meta-analysis, we found many papers in online databases, and we select only publications which are about the laying hen. Then we select only publications where the calcium source were the limestone. And finally, we select only publications where the dietary treatment cover the requirements of the laying hen in terms of calcium and phosphorus. Finally, we create a database of 60 publications. This database we separate in 3 databases. The first one was about the in vitro and in vivo solubilization In this one, we study the effect of coarse limestone on in vitro and in vivo solubilization and also on the mean retention time of calcium in the gizzard. The second database was about the performance and the eggshell quality, and we studied the effect of limestone particle size and age on these parameters. The third database was about bone mineralization, and we studied the effect of age and limestone particle size on these parameters. So now I will describe the main results of this analysis. First, we shown that the in vivo solubilization increased with limestone particle size, as we can see in this graph. Inversely, the in vitro solubilization decreased with particle size. We also shown that the mean retention time of calcium in the gizzard increased with particle size to reach a plateau of around 2 millimeters, as we can see in this graph. In fact, coarse limestone particles are retained longer in the gizzard so that they are more dissolved by gastric juices. And coarse limestone also stimulate the acidic secretion of the proventriculus so that they create a more acidic environment in the gizzard to increase the solubilization of the calcium. Now, about the effect on egg production, we show any effects of limestone particle size on egg production and on egg weight, because all the laying hen receive dietary treatment which cover their requirement. We shown that the laying rate decreased with age, about 10% from 35 weeks to 80 weeks. We also shown that the egg weight increased with age, more 5% from 35 weeks to 80 weeks, in accordance with the literature. On the eggshell quality, we shown that limestone particle size increased all the eggshell quality parameters which has been studied, which were the specific gravity, which is the eggshell thickness, and eggshell breaking force. This increase in eggshell quality could be explained by the fact that coarse limestone particles provide more solute calcium than fine particles, and they also decrease the bone mobilization during the night. In this analysis, we do not show effect of age on eggshell quality parameters. This absence of effect could be explained by the meta design of the database and by the fact that there were very little publications which present an intra-publication variability of the age. Now, about the effects on bone mineralization, we shown that tibia breaking strength decreased with age, and that coarse limestone are able to alleviate this decrease. For example, from 35 weeks to 80 weeks, with fine limestone particles, tibia breaking strength is decreasing by 20%. With coarse limestone particles, tibia breaking strength is decreasing by 15%. In fact, by providing more solute calcium later during the night, coarse limestone particles are able to reduce the bone mobilization during the night. So in the long term, coarse limestone particles are able to improve the tibia mineralization. So with this meta-analysis, we tried to show if there is a trade-off between the eggshell quality and the bone mineralization. We shown that bone parameters shown a better response to limestone particle size than eggshell quality parameters. For example, at 17 weeks, coarse limestone particles increased tibia breaking strength by 11.8% compared to fine limestone particles. And in average, eggshell quality parameters are increased by only 1.3%. To explain this observation, we say that the laying hen ensures its eggshell quality at the expense of bone by mobilizing the calcium from its medullary bones during the night. And coarse limestone are able to alleviate this effect because they stay longer in the gizzard, so they are able to diffusing soluble calcium longer during the dark period, so that they reduce the bone mobilization. So in the long term, coarse limestone particles allow to reduce bone weakness due to the eggshell production. So in conclusion, we can say that this meta-analysis allows us to quantify the effect of limestone on solubilization and quantify the effect of limestone particle size on the mean retention time in the gizzard. This meta-analysis also quantify the effect of limestone particle size on eggshell quality parameters and bone breaking strength. And we also quantify the effect of age on tibia quality parameters and on production performance parameters. These quantifications allow us to develop mathematical equation in order to create a mathematical predictive model of the fate of calcium and phosphorus utilization in laying hen. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Fabien, for that, that presentation. Very interesting work. So in your review of the literature, if you look at commercial recommendations, the commercial recommendations are often to include a mixture of small particle and large particle calcium. Did that confound your results in terms of the meta-analysis, because you often may not have just small particle or just large particle?
Yes, it's a good point. In fact, I didn't study this effect because of a lack of data in the scientific literature. So I cannot develop models with incorporation rate of coarse limestone particle. But it seems that an inclusion of only coarse limestone particles could be negative for the animal due to the fact that coarse limestone particles are not directly available calcium sources, and there is a gap between the ingestion of these particles and the calcium availability. So it could have a negative effect and increase the bone calcium mobilization.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. We've got a question here. Were you able to quantify the effect of dietary calcium level in this meta-analysis of calcium limestone?
No, no, because many papers study the effect of limestone particle size and not the interaction between dietary calcium level and the particle size. So it was not possible with this database to study this effect.
Okay.